Hey guys, welcome to the Market Sip. My name is Patrick Donovan from eXp Realty, part of the Johnson Group, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, Brandon Giebler from Next Move Realty. And today, if you live in the Savannah area, north as much as Rincon, west as far as Baxley, south as far as Kingsland, then you're in on the right show. Today, we are honored to have Amanda Hollowell, who is running for Buddy Carter's seat. So please stay tuned and get your questions ready for Amanda. Remember, our show is driven by your conversation, so please stay tuned for that. But Brandon, if someone could only ask one question tonight, what question do you think they should ask?
I think with everything going on, like what's the fallout effects of what's happening right now overseas and what that's going to do to us here?
Right.
What do you think is the most important question they should be asking?
Well, I think that's a really right on the money, accurate. That's what I would have said had you not said it. But I would say, with these overdevelopment going on at the same time, the AI and all this stuff take over the country, basically. But even Georgia itself is probably the number one target for data centers. So I'd be asking about data centers and where we're going to go with that. But
What?
yeah, are you shocked?
You asked about data centers? What?
It's super strange. Hey, Josh, thank you for joining. Hello, y'all's here. She's excited. I'm excited too.
I love that. Thanks everybody for joining. Love that loyalty. It means something to us, Hello, everyone. All right, so let's get into it. So tonight's guest is someone who doesn't just talk about change. She's spent her entire career organizing it, leading it, and fighting for it. She's nationally recognized, a nationally recognized strategist, a community organizer at heart, and someone who's helped lead major movements around the voting rights, the economic justice, and healthcare across the country. But what makes her story different is that this isn't just politics for her. It's personal. She's a mom, she's a caregiver, and someone who's deeply rooted right here in Southeast Georgia, fighting for the same communities that she calls home. So now she's stepping forward to represent Georgia's first congressional district with a mission centered on one simple idea: putting the people first. Finally. So, without further ado, let's welcome to the show Amanda Hollowell.
All right, Amanda, we are waiting. She was in here. Amanda, are you there? Amanda, let's get to the comments real quick. So, who's this? Vendel Richardson says, hello, everyone. And Heather Harless says, no data centers. Exactly. What is going on with Amanda?
That's what we've been saying. No data centers.
No data centers. Hold on. We're having technical difficulties with Amanda right now. So let me see if I can't hit her up on the text. So tonight we're going to be talking about, what we normally do, data centers and all that stuff. But of course, like I said before, and I'll always say, this show is meant for you guys. So please bring your questions, have them ready. You can put them in the chat now if you have questions. Kevin says, welcome, Amanda. I don't know if she went out and then she has not come back yet. So hold on a second. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
What?
So, Brandon, what'd you do for Easter?
Literally a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah. You didn't do anything? You guys don't celebrate Easter?
I mean, it's just the two of us and dogs. So we took the dogs on a walk, just kind of watched movies and hung out, spent quality time together since don't get to do that much.
She entered another Amanda. Hold on. We're working on it. There she is. Okay.
There she is.
Let me remove this one.
Did you send the wrong link?
Happened where just my whole computer froze, but
there she is. Okay, we got her.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, Amanda, how are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, my computer froze.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. We got you now, and I really appreciate it. Let's just catch up on the chat. You might have missed some of what was said. So, Vendel Richardson says, "Hello, everyone." Heather says, not data centers." Laugh out loud. Kevin says, "Welcome, Amanda." Hello, y'all. Says, "Welcome, Amanda." I love Amanda. Amanda is a credible organizer that truly cares about the community. And Jennifer says, "Good evening, everyone." So good stuff.
Good
Looks like
evening
you
to
got
you.
some fanfare going on here. So before we get started, can you just tell everybody about yourself for those that don't know you and why you decided to run?
So I've, made Savannah my chosen home almost 2 decades ago, and I raised my son here. I've moved half my family here, especially my father, who's a veteran who I take care of. And, amongst all the other things, I'm a full-time caretaker and a mom. And I just saw a moment where we were having a different conversation than 2024. We were having a conversation about folks' livelihoods. And when I talk about putting people first and solutions first, we need to also talk about the type of candidates that we're electing. What I love that I see across the country is that folks who are stepping up to run for office are people who want to provide a better lifestyle and better solutions for folks, especially the middle class. And that's why I decided to run. It was an open seat. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for us down here in Southeast Georgia because we've been under this with these folks in this office for about 20 years. And Buddy Carter said he wants to go and try to punch up. And so he's in Senate. And so if he was still in office, I don't think I would do it. Because I don't want to waste people's tax dollars when they could go to other fights. But this is a real fight, and I think I'm worth every pound for pound, every ounce of it. And I think we have a good chance.
Nice. So running based off of that, putting people first. What does it actually look like for someone who's trying to afford groceries and rent and even a home right now?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like solutions where we're not giving billionaires tax cuts, right? It looks like we're deciding on making sure that we can talk about renters tax credits or even mortgage tax credits, where we're actually addressing the thing that's driving cost. Folks ask me what I'm going to do about inflation. There's always a form of inflation that we're up against. With during Biden, it was shrinkflation. During Obama, there was a different form of inflation, and I think that's what we're really saying is corporate greed, and we need to actually hold them accountable and start talking about how these folks, and I don't like to use the big words, but how these rich tycoon monopoly men, monocle wearing fools who are just getting over on us, and then asking for more and more and more, and then on top of that still paying low wages.
Always more and more and more.
That's
Yes.
all it always is, right? It's like this our world has turned into
Selfish
what can we
greed.
do for the investors? How can we enrich
My
them? Like it's
shareholders, my
never about the
shareholders.
yeah, like and that's I mean, we talk about it goes in the medical field, which I don't want to get into and all that stuff. But I mean it's just rampant in our country and I hate it. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
Yeah. And we're having an economic conversation, y'all. And it might hit folks at different levels depending on your income and where you are in life. But at the end of the day, like we're all feeling it. Like these policies, or some folks might say the cruelty of this administration has touched everybody's front door at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Even broke in, I would say.
In some cases, yeah.
I mean, yes.
Unfortunately. Okay, so I'm going to ask the question that Jennifer typically asks every time, so I'm just going to get ahead of it. Are you taking any APAC money, dark money, AI money? Where are you getting your money from for your campaign?
I'm not taking any of that type of money. I've actually just ran a campaign in New York Times Square where we're running against Goldman Sachs Gives, because we found out that Goldman Sachs Gives, their foundation, through their DAF, their donor advised funding, was actually donating to Stephen Miller and Ed Bloom. And those are the folks who are your archetypes of the Project 2025. And so, no, I'm not going to take dark money. I'm not going to take APAC money. I won't take corporate PAC money, but PAC money is PAC money. I had a PAC with my friends here in Savannah, and we donated. And so, I'm not going to sit there and say like, there's good PACs out there, and there's
Yeah.
bad PACs. You have to decide what your moral reasoning is for taking that money.
What are your morals?
My morals are, man,
No.
do I want to win? Absolutely. Do I believe in people that we can, keep calling folks and doing the phone tree and kind of old school this to a better place and pull out a win? Yes, I do believe. I believe more and the power of the energy and the hope of the folks who have come around, those 300 plus donors that we've already gotten, that's gotten us there. I think we can move it up to 1,000, and I want to keep growing that base.
100%.
Yeah.
You want to get these comments?
Yeah, I'll get the comments. Okay, real quick. Let me grab the comments real quick. Okay, so Jennifer says, "Wow, we have a lot in common already." She said they've eliminated they pay. Wait, hold on. Jennifer says, "I still say keep the immigrants. They pay taxes and get rid of the billionaires." They've eliminated the greater good, which was the middle class. Us, we, and ours. It's wrong. Hello, y'all says that's right. Yeah, good money, and you file that, you got it, and not be on the shady take. Okay, all right, okay.
Everyone likes a little shade sometimes.
They do like a little shade. I mean, folks get desperate, but like, unlike the leading candidate for this race on the Republican side, I'm not having $20,000 plate dinners with the Home Depot pack in DC, Jim Kingston. But I mean, that's just how it is for some folks. They get it. They have a strong Rolodex.
Oh,
yeah.
Someone's casting a little bit of their own here. Not that. So since we are real estate agents, so we're big into the housing market stuff, if you didn't know. So do you think the government has a role in stabilizing the home prices, or should they just let the market correct itself?
How? What are the levers to which a market corrects itself without government intervention?
Through prices just settling on their own. You don't need, I'm going to tell you, you don't need the government to get involved, because when the government gets involved, that's when everything gets twisted upside down.
I like to hear that, but I also think that development, you guys are real estate agents. We know developers go through and get tax credits. We know that they get building credits, and we know that they know how to write and code all those things to get government money, right? Like, let's not just be naive that everyone's just a pure developer and they're not pulling out loans and grants and going through many different working programs. I think there's a better way to do it, but let's be, like, the honest answer is, to fix housing, it's going to suck because it's a supply and demand issue. So if we increase supply, those folks who, like me and like probably you all, who have all that great equity in our homes, what happens to our equity? It slowly disappears, and and so that's something that we're all going to have to live with, right? Like, are we willing to sacrifice the equity and what we need for maybe our future plans, or hopefully like not disasters, in order to create a place where affordable housing is real? Or are we really going to actually sit here and think about how we zone, how we build, and like actually give better incentives to build housing that actually makes sense for what we're trying to do? Like, Savannah is landlocked, so Savannah needs to build in density, and so having homes on like sprawled out land actually doesn't make any sense when you can actually get 4 homes on that land versus, or looking at like tiny houses, not just for veterans, but for older folks, right? And I think we are not creative enough about how we think about housing. And I think that's the conversation I want to have with folks, is how do we get more creative about how we think about housing? Why do we all have to live in the little boxes from that movie, from that show a long time ago? Why can't we have some dynamic, some work-life balance, some folks who have lost, but they actually have businesses behind? We have tiny homes, we have huge, the palatial home, but we also have really affordable, good 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes for folks. And I remember when I talked to the Golden Isle Chamber and I was researching, because, there was big real estate issues there. And I said, if we have folks, they have flexi, right? And if we have folks who are calling themselves job creators, then why aren't we actually saying, if you're a job creator and you're upset that there's not enough labor within the market, then we should also figure out a way to work with the government, the local government and the federal government, that job creators can actually get workforce housing credit for building affordable housing for the folks that they're trying to employ. And so you're not just building a job center, but you're also building housing that's attached to it. A lot of folks do it non-traditionally, where they just build it. Like Sea Island has it. Sea Island has apartments specifically made for those folks who work at that hotel. We've seen this model before. Why don't we have that conversation? Why do we always stick with, well, that's what it is? and not actually try to go look at different models or different cities or counties that are actually doing it well to address the issue.
When you're stuck in your ways, you're stuck in your ways.
I mean, sometimes it's just easier to do the thing that you've been doing for years, even though you know it's not right. Less paperwork.
Well, I just kind of want to. So let me understand what you're saying. So because home prices are high, and I'll just give you my theory on it. We had that overheating period during COVID, right? So it jumped 30, 40 to 50% in our area, specifically. That's kind of why I say I felt like the market needed to do something about it, because that was the time we had all that infusion of where we were just creating money to infuse the market to get people, to spend, right? So we were printing money. It caused that inflation. And the only way to bring home prices now is just to let it ease back, I feel like, to the price it should be at, right? I think we need like 2 or 3 years of price regression to get to where we're supposed to be. But you believe that there's programs that could help to do that faster?
Yeah. Well, not even faster. I think, well, yeah. Well, one program that could do that faster is tariffs. It costs a lot of money to build a house. And so older homes that are already stable in there are now going up in value because they know there's a demand because we're not putting more supply out there. So there's a few levers. Yeah, there's a few things that we can do to address affordable housing. It's not just waiting for the easement, but it's also like, what are we thinking about? How much does it cost to build a house? What kind of programming are we thinking about that makes sense for these communities that don't need to be that, like palatial landscapes of the same box house over and over again? Like, is there a place where you're looking at an East Savannah where you're like, yeah, we could actually move more people in if we created more dynamic housing, right? And like looked at developers in a way of being more benefactors of the community versus like developers who are like, got a tax credit. I don't pay taxes here. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. Um, and now I've made this development and now I have, rents at $2,000 a piece and I know these kids can pay for it.
Okay. Let's catch up on the chat. Okay, here we go. So let's go to Lynn Graybill. She said one candidate criticized you for spending more on your campaign than you have raised. How do you respond?
It's called a typo, Lynn. And if you want to go back to my FEC filing, you can see it. So I love my treasurer to death, but we all make mistakes. And so actually, it's not true. But you know what I do love is when candidates spend more time on me and talking about me, because that gives me more time to talk about my platform and all the great things I want to do for the community. They might not have a platform, and so they think they just have to keep doing attacks. I would worry about a candidate that's more focused on other people and not focused on you, the voter.
Okay, good. Hello, y'all said that's true. To fix it will suck. I think she's talking about the housing. Jennifer says, yeah, I like the way you're thinking on housing issue big time. Kevin says supply and demand is fundamental to our economy. Bringing government into it will destroy that long term. I agree with Kevin on that one. Not to say that you don't, but I'm just saying that I do. Jennifer said we could use the government on the proper ways right now. It's so out of control. So every time we hear it, we think it's extreme intervention. And then Michael McCord says she wants to turn South Georgia into LA. How do you respond to that?
I haven't been in LA for 20 years. And again, you're so focused on who I am and what I'm turning into. If putting people first and solutions first is turning California in, I don't think anybody's going to be mad about that. I'm talking about putting dollars back in the middle class pockets. I'm talking about getting people to work. I'm talking about fully funding education and making affordable healthcare a real thing. That's what I'm talking about. Those aren't policies that are based off of where I'm from or where I'm at. They're based on humanity. And that's the type of candidate I'm going to be.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, before we get to the next question, I'm going to play this next video real quick. Here we go.
Deal is set. CBS News has learned that mediators sent both Washington and Tehran a proposal, and they're calling for a 45-day ceasefire and the reopening of the Straits. The White House says it is one of many ideas, and President Trump has not signed off on that yet. Now, all of this follows a profanity-filled social media post from the president.
Oh, good God. So given everything going on right now. What should leaders be doing right now, and not hypothetically, but today, to protect Americans from the economic fallout of this conflict?
What leaders are we talking about?
I haven't
Well, I
seen
would
very.
imagine if you took Buddy Carter's seat as a House of Representative, what would you do right now? If you were
Okay.
in their seat right now, what would you do to ease the fallout?
I mean, the fallout is the fallout of $1 billion a day on top of Medicaid cuts, on top of SNAP cuts, on top of now we're withdrawing $200 billion from healthcare. I don't know how to ease it other than we need to first stop this war and stop this man. I'm really, we live in Southeast Georgia. My heart goes out to those families who are being deployed, but also at the same time, their resources are being cut. I think this is like asinine to think that this administration's pro-war, but also going to cut the VA services that these folks, when they're done with this war, have to come back and use. And I think it's more than just like, what would I do? I think one, we have to, this Congress, or when I'm in, hope, how about this? If I get elected when we're some odd plus 9 months away and we're still in the Iran war, that was a problem. That means this current progress is inept. This current Congress has people, and that's on the Democrat and Republican side. They should know better than that. This war is not constitutional, and all of them should be doing everything they can to get us out of this war because it's going to be way more detrimental than affordable housing and prices to our country. Now, if I am in Congress and we're still fighting about a war, boy, it's a whole nother story. And if we do need to make sure that we're ending this war, that we're actually not walking away or pulling to Afghanistan or doing anything else, but actually doing the policies and procedures that those generals that we've let go have gone on and on and on about that we don't do, and reinstating some of them to maybe help us be our consultants on how to get out of this.
Mm.
Who needs a house when it's just going to get blown up?
Their missiles don't reach this far.
So
You obviously don't watch the Lego movies.
So your plan is to reinstate the generals and try to bring this to a swift close, or is that what you're saying when you come into office?
Yeah, I mean, swift close, a close, right? And we need to stop hemorrhaging money to this, because just how we just talked about inflation and we were printing all this money, we're printing all this money for a war. And we're actually really sacrificing folks. And so I'm no general or war expert, but I know there's an exit. And I know I've seen and watched too many political pundits, especially those who were formerly employed with this administration as generals, say there was a better way to do this. And it's going to be much harder to exit, and it's going to be way more expensive to exit, but we can't exit out of this war.
I agree. I don't feel like we should be sacrificing our men's and women's lives for. I don't even know what we're sacrificing it for right now. I don't know what the objective is of the war. I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I'll watch more Lego. I think people are probably getting the most historical accurate
from the Lego movie.
Look at Jennifer's comment.
All right. Let me catch back up with the chat. So Michael McCord says Patty 2.0, 38%. I don't know what that means. Vendolin Richards says mic drop. Jennifer says awesome answers, love it, snap. This regime should be under arrest for war crimes, and I don't want to read the rest of that. Pete and I'm not going to read that either. And hello, y'all said there is no objective to this war, and I agree with you. I agree with you. So I do want to ask the question, and this is from Facebook. Okay, so we're going to add this to the screen. So Amanda Brooke says Mr. Carter said he was a strong supporter and proponent of our public schools in Pooler, then supported legislation to dismantle the education department, reduce special ed protections, reduce funding for Title I schools, as well as cut funding for food, healthcare, child care coverage for our families. When it comes to Pooler's children, what does your vision look like in terms of education, healthcare, and their general livelihood?
I mean, it's not just Pooler's children, it's all of our children, right? We currently have a Department of Education that's been dismantled. We have a civil rights part of the Department of Education that's no longer there. So we can't even protect those kids who are on IEPs or special plans, and we can't address that across the country. So I yes, Pooler is important, but Pooler is part of the bigger Pooler is a victim of this problem, right? And it bothers me, but it's not just the federal problem. I think we have to work together at all three levels. We see how Kemp, our Governor Kemp, decides how he wants to fund education, which he never fully funds education. And then he's like, vouchers for everybody, which actually just takes money from public schools that they desperately need. Teachers need raises. He gives them raises, but guess what happened to those raises? Some of those schools were in debt. And so they just absorbed those teachers' raises that he offered to cover debt. I mean, they did talk about it before, but again, this is the reality of a situation of when you continuously underfund education. And that's when I say, I think about whoever's going to be our next governor of Georgia. We need to hold them accountable for how education is funded and to make sure they're drawing down all dollars available, especially as I go and I advocate in Congress, that we're protecting those folks here. And I want to make sure that we're making college more affordable. College is not affordable anymore. We're leaving people in debt. We've got to make sure we're protecting those Title I schools. I mean, the Head Start program was on the chopping part, which is just crazy because then we also talk about literacy and our children not being prepared, but we're also cutting the program that prepares them. None of this make sense, y'all. So yes, Pooler's kids are important. Pooler is a fast growing community. Urban development is a real thing in Pooler. And so we need to make sure we're giving you all the tools to address the needs of those children.
Okay, good answer. All right, I'm gonna read this next article real quick, and then Brandon's gonna ask his question. And this is something we're kind of dealing with in our area too. So here we go. The Atlanta AP says Georgia state lawmakers spent months debating ideas to curb the impact of data centers, but as their annual legislative session ended Thursday, they did nothing. Now, with election season upon them, lawmakers are returning home to find local communities up in arms against the warehouses full of computers and powerful artificial intelligence. I think they failed us. That's what I think, says Judy, an activist fighting plans for a data center near Noonan, southwest of Atlanta. I think they had the opportunity to do the right thing, and they didn't. I'm so tired of them prioritizing big money. Georgia has become one of the country's top sites for new data centers, thanks to the utilities eager to sell electricity and the tax breaks estimated to cost the state and local government nearly $3 billion in the year beginning of July 1st.
Shocker. So obviously there's always this tension when you bring new development and protecting the people who are already here, who already invested their livelihood into this. It blows my mind. So where do you personally draw the line, and what policies would you support to make sure that the growth doesn't push out the locals who are already here?
I mean, I think we have to have a hard conversation about taxes on the local and county level. These folks are turning to data centers to create a tax incentive to help fund their local governments. We have to have that conversation. We have to have that tough conversation about how do we fund local governments right now, especially the resources and ones that provide the services that people need. As far as some local governments provide utilities, some provide water, some do water and trash and sewer. And if we're not charging appropriately there, they're gonna take the hit at government. And so they're gonna look for ways to bail people out, to not bail people out, but more so to bail themselves out, the government out. And they look at data centers that way. People look at data centers as this gold mine of business that's gonna come in, create all this kind of consumer interest and money and bringing in all these people to the city, and then they're gone. And as you mentioned before, Patrick, they last 4 to 5 years, and then now we're left with an empty building that could probably catch fire. And so
Probably will catch fire.
right, that's been using our water, our resources, and creating all kind of new pollution, right? Noise pollution, light pollution, not just also probably contaminating our air. And I would love for people to start talking about community benefits agreements. There was this amazing group that was here 2 weeks ago called Demo South Labs. They held a community benefits agreement opening like mixer where they were going to try to get folks who are interested in learning how to do these type of negotiations with local government. What I hate for them was they did it the night of the forum. And so they didn't get the turnout they wanted. And I kept telling them, I was like, oh my God, can you change the date, please? But I introduced them to several folks and I said, these are the people that you really need to bring into the fold. And you also need to talk to our city council folks and our, District 1, Bernetta Lanier has been amazing at how she's advocating for a community benefits agreement. I know that, everyone showed up in Port Wentworth when things were going down. Folks were like, what are we doing here? Just like the nickel refinery. We're not dumb. We're citizens of this community. We will show up and speak out. But I do think there's a better way that we can make sure, if people kept saying they're inevitable, which they're not, we can make sure that we're making demands that are actually benefit to the community and not a detriment to the community, and not leaving these eyesores behind of a time of once was. The fact that like cities are saying, come here, come be the thing that actually puts my future kids out of jobs.
Wild, right? I mean, that makes no sense.
Weird.
I've noticed recently, like it seems like long-term planning for future generations is just like
it's gone,
not like thrown out the window.
And that's sad. And that's why we don't get young voters engaged. When my son is 24, I talk to him all the time, and he was like, talk to me about money. He was talk to me about how do I make my life better. And I was like, you're right, because all I keep talking to you about is you should vote, but this is horrible and this is horrible. This is horrible. I'm giving you nothing to look forward to, right?
Right.
Right? Like we have to give them something to look forward to. We have to tell them that we're trying our best to make this place a little bit better, a little bit more affordable, so they can actually grow up and want to raise kids in this country.
Exactly. And have kids in this country. I mean, I think the birth rate has gone down for this very reason.
Georgia is a dying state.
Huh?
Georgia's a dying state. If you saw that it was really sad. I was like, oh, one county had more deaths than births, which was just heartbreaking.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a full report about like the death rate of Georgia, and it went county by county, all 159.
All right, so I'm gonna catch back up in the chat here real quick. So Jennifer says they've destroyed so much it's going to take decades to get it back online and going again. They should be arrested for treason. Hello, y'all says yes. All three levels must work together. Jennifer. Okay, hold on.
Jennifer's having a good night.
She's got a lot to say.
I love it. No, I love it. Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to be able to read it all, but the moral of this country is in the crapper and the chaos and the destruction, the illegal war, the prices people are feeling it, and you can see it in the crime. All right, I'm going to ask another question from Facebook, from Uma. She says, what steps will you take to reverse all the destruction that Trump and Congress has done to the EPA, the endangered species list, etc., and to reinstate protections for the environment?
I think reinstate protections for the environment, bring those people back and give them their jobs back. Also provide them.
Are they going to want to come back?
I mean,
would you want to?
We say we want to bring these people back, but like,
listen,
are these generals that did 40 years and was told to walk? You think they want to come back?
No, they want to be consultants because that's where the money is.
Right.
Government contractors, which I'm not mad at them. I mean, you guys, we have to, when I get into office, we have to reinstate so much stuff and rebuild. But I also want us to reevaluate how we thought about environment and the endangered species. Like I think we just removed how you drill in the Gulf, and it doesn't matter if we kill right whales. Something like that just happened, and it was so Trump's administration wants to loosen up drilling in the Gulf of America, which was Gulf of Mexico. Right. There's a whales population. I think it's the right whale that is endangered, and they were like, well, it's okay if you injure one or two. Like it's like they loosened up the the rules. In order for more drilling to happen.
1,000, it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have to have people who have a conscience and understand that like we're all in the same ecosystem, and that ecosystem impacts each other, and that we should, as much as we want to protect, ourselves, we should also want to protect animals and what they benefit, what benefits they bring to this world. And so we just have to get in there and reinstate, but reevaluate and decide, are we even doing it right? Because a lot of the things that we've lost, I kind of feel like some of it needed to be redone anyway. So I look at it as a hope and an opportunity that when candidates like me and folks that I see that are really amazing running across the country get in there with better ideas and not afraid to say the thing out loud.
Right.
I'm never
I
going to
love
be
that.
speaker. Like, I have
Never gonna be
nothing to
Speaker of the
lose.
House. You're not gonna be in there long enough.
Yeah, I have nothing to lose. We're going to go hard and fast those first 6 months and try to get as much done as we can.
That's what I'm talking about. So, given all that, so what's something that you think that both parties are getting wrong right now when it comes to like everyday Americans?
That
So,
they can make decisions for them without any kind of accountability or responsibility to them. You
that's
know, on both sides, on all levels. There's only some who do it well, that are great elected officials. And then most of them do it subpar or just enough. But eventually you have to go hear the people who got you in office. And maybe now and again, someone has a good idea that we should implement.
Okay, I love that.
yeah.
All right, Lynn Graybill says, "Who in the current House of Representatives do you most admire and wish to emulate?" Good question.
Ooh. It's a tie between Summer Lee, Representative Lee, and Representative Lauren Underwood, because they are some bold women who are producing legislation that's not just like in simple, but like Lauren Underwood produced one of the how do we restore the ACA bill recently. She got it so close to passing. Like she was, and she was whipping those votes. And Summer Lee has been really aggressive around the environment, around history, and around education, as well as healthcare. And so those are two women who I just admire that one if you watch Lauren Underwood's Instagram, every now and again she posts and she goes, I brought you guys $14 million. Those are women who are showing us it is okay to make sure that you're advocating for your district to bring dollars back, because that's the whole point. You're supposed to bring dollars back to your district, and make sure that you're advocating for them. And so for me, just watching them put the proof is in the pudding and saying like, yeah, almost passed this ACA bill, but even more so, I got you guys $14 million for rural care, and so those are the things that I'm really impressed with. Even Warnock comes through with some amazing legislation that is very specific but extremely helpful to millions. The cap on insulin. He recently did a renter's tax credit, didn't get through, but you got to keep submitting them. Got to keep submitting them, because at one point in time, people are going to listen. So I'm just proud of those folks who are producing legislation that centers their districts, that centers the people that needs help, but understands that they're actually listening and trying to go get those dollars and those services to those people.
All right, I love that. That's a good answer and good
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
Good answer. Good answer. Is it on the board?
Put it on the board. There
She's
you
not
go.
on the board. You guys are funny.
Is it, who's Wanda? She
Huh?
said question. What's your
Yeah.
question?
Well, I'm waiting for the question. So we'll get back to the question after you ask your question.
Okay.
All right. I was really waiting on that question. So, okay. So at the end of the day, why you? What makes you different from the typical politicians people are tired of and want to get rid of?
What makes me different and why me, which is always a great question, right? I think more than anything, from me being a national organizer, working with the Obamas at When We All Vote, from me doing healthcare advocacy around organ donation, for me fighting to expand postpartum Medicaid on the state level, and making sure that we are protecting our voters, and registering voters at the same time. But also, more so than anything, my parents are my inspiration. My mother was a registered nurse. My father was a Marine, and that duty of service is in me because of them. And I want to continue this tradition, to continue that tradition of service by serving in Congress. And what we don't need right now is folks who are more focused on, how can I say it, folks are more focused on their popularity and what this is going to do for them, and not focused on the sacrifice that you have to make when you become a congresswoman, right? And so there's just, this district needs someone who's not going to get wrapped up in the foolishness of this administration. This district needs someone that's going to actually listen and make sure people feel heard, and also take those ideas back to Congress. This district needs someone that wants to focus on them and not anybody else. Special interest, or whatever that means. It just special interest people not to get influenced. Even as a freshman, you get opened up to some folks, and people are like, well, you could do this and you could line your pockets, or you could help people. Which I feel like those are the conversations that people are having. But this district needs someone that also is going to move fast with discernment, and also have someone who can go from Long County to Effingham County in one day, right? This district needs someone that just really understands what we're doing, what we need in this moment, which is putting people first and putting solutions first. And I'm that congresswoman.
Okay, excellent.
You heard it
answer.
first, folks.
So let me ask you, because I feel like in my mind, and I think in a lot of people's minds, Citizens United, the money is speech, I believe has pretty much rendered our Congress basically ineffective. So what do you think you could do to maybe change, amend the Constitution? I know it's going to be hard to do, but like, is that something you think is a problem or something you can do?
No, you definitely can ban, Citizens United, and you can also put a cap on spending. They've done it before. They just released it recently. And so, you can go back and try that case and have a federal judge rule against it and put it back into law. It's not hard. It's just no one wants to do it. A lot of folks, both sides, are making good money. And they know, where their interest lies and what kind of lifestyle they want to keep. So we need folks in there who want to have that type of, life. We need folks who want to have that conversation, but then also folks who want to have that fight and understand that we talk about age. I think we have a more problem with how many people take money from corporate PACs and sit there and lie to the face of voters, instead of being like, listen, y'all, I'm going to take this money. But I think we can sit at the table and have an argument with these folks, or I think I can bring them to some sort of consensus with us on how they should move, not just blindly taking money and not demanding anything. Because at the end of the day, that corporation, they need the congressperson more than they need them, right? Like the congressperson doesn't need doesn't need that PAC, that corporate influence or dollars. They need to serve their citizens. They need to serve their constituents. This is just icing on the cake that people have just abused way too long.
Profit over life.
Yeah, it's the same with stock trading. They get to trade stocks. They know all the moves before everybody else moves. Sometimes they
my
put the
God, I haven't
policy in place.
Seeing those trades that's been happening before announcements by the president, just like $500 billion made by one person in like one trade right 10 minutes before we make it. It's just insane.
It's insane. So we've got to folks we got to have I hate to say this, got to have one of those come to Jesus moments with ourselves as elected officials. And are we doing it right? Because we have seen what it looks like. We currently have a president who's fleecing America. Let's not also be the people who fleece America.
To fleece America?
He's fleecing. He's made $1.5 billion directly to himself. That's more money than he's ever made in his whole life. And that is in the last 14 months of being president.
That's right. 14 months?
Yes.
Holy crap.
That is called a fleece.
Yeah.
So, what about the rural hospitals? Like, what specific actions would you push for the rural hospitals? Everyone's having issues with not having the access to them, or living too far away.
Yeah.
And not having the money.
Well, yeah, first I would try to expand on what Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock just passed. They just got a bunch of dollars to rural hospitals to, slow down the speed of them closing. But we also need to make sure it's not just putting a hospital in there for hospital sakes. It needs to be safe. It needs to have good facilities, and it needs to have trained professionals in those areas, because that is a thing and it happens. So I would love to expand and bring more dollars to the legislation that they've just passed, but also make it easier for you to set up a community hospital across the country, especially in rural areas, right? Community hospitals used to be a real thing. Yes, some of them were funded by the county and the federal government, but they provided a really intentional service, especially out in those rural areas. Because when those folks don't get care year round, they're showing up at major hospitals with acute care. And sometimes we can't save them. right? And so we need to think about what are ways that are cost conscious, that are affordable, that we can also cut the middleman from the 2.5 hour drive to maybe an hour, but they can see a specialist, right? And they can someone can go set up in a really nice, clean facility to go visit these folks out there.
I totally agree. I mean, because like several times it's been said on the show before, is that people, live, like for instance, where I live in Port Wentworth, like really not a good spot, especially with the traffic to get to Memorial or St. Joseph's Candler. Like it's just still either way, it's taking 35 minutes to 45 minutes, unless there's traffic, and then of course that's an hour. So
Right.
I mean, yeah.
People don't realize like urban planning affects so much impact. Like when I was in Waycross, Georgia, I remember if she was so adamant about this, and I wish I could have like helped her solve that problem. She said, I really want to do something about train tracks and trains going through small rural cities, because we don't know what time they're going. And I had a family member who almost had a heart attack, who was under cardiac arrest and needed to get there, and the train came and they had to wait for the train to pass. So they're working on this person in the ambulance while they're trying to get them someplace, but they're stuck, right? And I was like, well, man, I don't know what we could do at the federal level, but I know at the state level, there's been legislation in the past about how we decide where transportation and easements happen. And then this woman, her name is Deanne McKay. She's a writer out there and also leads the Satilla Democrats. She said, oh yeah, my father, I ran a bill back in the 70s to get passed at the state level because my father almost died that way. And so
wow.
to me, right, that is amazing. And that also shows that like when you have folks who speak up and want to press the issue because they see a real issue, things can get solved. And so I guess her and the young lady are going to talk about how to like reenact or like bring this back up on the state level to folks and to their state representatives to get them to listen.
That's good.
That's what's up.
Let's check it. Let's check in on the chat real quick. Jennifer says, excellent. I know you have. Wait, you have to know how to stand your ground and not become a product of the environment because of toxicity and people being bullies. I'm assuming that's at Congress. And then she says, love Warnock and Ossoff. They've done a lot and they're still fighting for us. They've avoided becoming toxic. And Ossoff is a documentarian, very smart man. He can spot the BS. Okay. So let me ask you another question. So I think I think a lot of our frustration is like you got people in office for 40 years. And over the 40 years, America has not gotten better, right? So you got all the right, and they gotten older. So you're talking about people in office for so long. So where's your stance on term limits stand? Where are you at on term limits?
I absolutely believe in term limits, but I don't actually like how we operate representatives' time. Say it's 2 years, right? I have to run for office in 2 years. So I'm only technically serving like 12 months because the other year I have to spend fundraising and campaigning to keep my seat. Why? But senators get 6 years. I mean, like, I think just the service time is crazy to me. I also don't think you're going to see the change you need in 2 years, but yet you have this constant flip at 2 years of a Congress, and so you're always going to have a new speaker. You're always going to have a new idea that comes through, or where their morals lie. And I think that's completely ineffective. But I don't think you solve that by staying in office until you die.
Right. But also, you shouldn't be, like you said, you shouldn't be basically running for office, while you're working in there, right? So half your time is spent running for office, and the other half is hopefully, pleasing your constituents. So would you say maybe the House of Representatives should go to 4 years? What do you think?
I think so, because we see it also at the problem at the state level. When you look at state legislators, the House stays longer than the senators, right? And again, you're constantly in this flux of change. And like, if the president can do 4, if the senators can do 6, I think House of Representatives should at least get to 4. And I don't know the constitutional amendment or what we have to change to do that, but I'm just saying, like, we've created this horrible cycle of where we actually don't get to complete a lot of work. And don't really actually see it through because we know we could lose our spot, or we know that the speaker changes and all of a sudden all of our ideas have changed, right? So how do we give it more time to see if it even works? When we know that someone's going to come in and just strip it away, which is why so many people make sure there's earmarks for their district to get those dollars to their district while they're there. Because if I'm not there, that money's not coming, right? And we just need to make sure that there's some promises happening and folks are getting those dollars. I think the whole system is not made for this moment. And remember, you guys, this is democracy and it's an experiment in the first place. And
happened a long time ago when the world was a lot different.
Exactly. And so, like, why are we so reluctant just to revisit things?
Shouldn't everybody be I think everyone should be 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, the Senate thing is because it's a smaller amount of folks. It's like 60, blah, blah, blah. You know, they have whatever their rules. But I think at the end of the day, like, I think we just need to revisit how we operate government. That's all I got.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel effective. It just doesn't feel effective.
Well, definitely not now. And like I said, I think it has to do with the money part. I mean, and the term limits part. I think if those two things were fixed,
yes,
it would flip everything on its end, because you wouldn't have people, well, just staying in to stay in. I keep hearing the excuse, I have to be in so I can make change. I'm like, well, what have you been doing for the past 20 years?
Making change in my pocket.
You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree with you on that. We got to do something about it.
We have to be open to change. Like, and it doesn't matter if you keep your seat or not, right? Like, if you're open to making something better for the whole, it should be okay that you might get cut out of it.
All right. So we got Wanda Towns. She asked, what happened with your arrest in California?
What are you guys talking about? I've never been arrested and I have no criminal record.
Wanda, she has no criminal record. Do you have anything that would substantiate that she has a criminal record? Sorry, I don't know. I'm just asking the questions. Jennifer says, I said to Brandon earlier, too much okay. All right. And then Linda Graybill says, do you support raising minimum wage? If so, what amount? I like that question.
She was doing
Do I support? Yes. I mean, it's minimum wage, livable wage. Everyone has a number to it. I think we just do the science and the math behind it and figure out the number. It's between $20 and $25. I think it can be adjusted per where you live. But at the end of the day, we know it's not enough. So walking around here, it's 2026 and the national minimum wage is $7. This is insane.
I would tell you, I was my first job was $4.25 was the minimum wage, and that was
Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself.
34 years ago.
That's crazy. So we've gone up $3 since 34 years ago.
34 years, and homes have gone up by 3 billion%.
Well, just like I believe we need to revisit what Social Security is, right? Like yes, we need to protect it for other ones, but everyone else is like, it's going broke. And I'm also, then how do we not let it be broke? Like, why are we all just throwing our hands up? Is this the right equation?
That shouldn't even be possible, by the way. Where's my money at?
It's my money. Where is it now?
Yeah, do I need to go to JG Wentworth? Like, what's going on to get my money back?
Those are good commercials. That's a good
my money. Yeah, I need it now.
Again, another program that is good in meaning has maybe aged out, and we need to revisit on how to fund it and how we make it make sense today.
If they wouldn't have touched it, somebody touched our money.
Well, he now lets you invest in private equity with your money because the stock market doesn't have enough cash. And so they're trying to use our cash to fund private equity investments, which is so dangerous and so maniacal on so many different levels.
Just keep holding up asset prices until the old people die. That's what they're trying to. That's what it feels like.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah. But Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. I want to ask you one last question. Yes. Is there anything that we did not bring up that you want to talk about?
I think I want to talk about checking your voter registration on by April 20th. Okay. Early voting starts April 26th. The last day to vote in the primary is May 19th. And if you are going to vote absentee, for God's sakes, please order it now. Do not order it in May. It's not going to come. We know that they're cutting the U.S. Post System labor force in half, and they're trying to defund it and privatize it. So, if you got kids in college and you want them to vote, please plan early.
All right. Please plan early. Vote early if you can. Get to the voting booths. Okay. And Amanda, I want to say good luck. I hope you do well in the primaries. If you win, would you come back on?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
This is how you communicate with no, I don't know. I'm not like, Warnock, he's high in demand. He's a good speaker. I'm of the people.
Right. Well, we're of the people too. We appreciate you coming on, talking to the people like Jennifer and Wanda and hello y'all and Lynn Gray and Josh and everybody that came in. And if you're still watching right now, please hit the like button, share this with the people. If you support Amanda, share this video to everyone you know so that they can see what she says about all these questions. And once again, Amanda, I wish you good luck. And like I said, I hope we have you on if you win the primary. Maybe we can do a little debate between you and the Republican. That'd be fun.
That would be amazing. I hope it's right. Eugene Yu, because he has an amazing slogan where he's like, "You for you." It's so it is like sort of.
All right. Well, hopefully it's him then. But I want to say thank you so much again, and we'll see you if you win.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Oh, what a good conversation right there.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, everybody, for the questions. You guys have been amazing. As amazing as always. If you like what we've been doing, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm get it out to everybody. But before we go, Brandon, we got some stuff we want to talk about really quick.
Got some stuff.
So first, I'm going to show yours first. Okay, so we got some open houses going on this weekend. So Brandon is planning on doing his open house at 100 Westwood Drive. What do you want to say? Anything?
It's coming on new to the market. It's going to come on tomorrow once I get pictures, maybe Wednesday. But it's a nice 4-2 bed 4-2 house, 1,500 square feet. It's sitting on 0.69 of an acre. It's a corner lot. It's nice.
Well, we don't have the price yet.
No.
Ish.
We're looking probably more on like the 280, 290.
Ish. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
280, 290 ish.
Yeah. It doesn't have a garage, but it has a really big carport and a fenced-in yard. And
Location's fantastic. I mean, you don't get much better than that. I mean, you're right across the street from the Planet Fitness, right?
Yeah, right across the street.
Right across the street from Planet Fitness. So it's a great spot. That neighborhood is actually really, really cool. And then I have an open house on the same day. Actually, I'm doing 2 open houses on Saturday. So one we're doing at Rice Creek with Landmark 24. So if you're looking for a home with brand new construction in Rice Creek, definitely come on out to Rice Creek. Look for the open house signs. We'll be doing 5 open houses at the same time, all in Rice Creek. So you definitely want to check that out. And then after that, at 3 to 5, I'm doing another open house at 515 Weissen Baker Road in Rincon. So that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, 1,327 square feet. Another place with a great location. You're right across the street from the Lost Plantation Golf Course. Okay. And then you are, what is lice? What's going on? I don't know what's going on.
It's a thing.
No, it does have 3 bedrooms and it is 2 baths. That's for sure not a lie. It is in a great location too, across the street from the golf course on Lost. And then it's right down the road from Kroger. So I would tell you right now, Weissen Baker, great house. If you guys want to come, if you have questions about real estate and you just want to chat, or you were looking to buy a home, come check us both out. I really appreciate it.
Check it out.
But it's been super fun. I want to say thank you all for coming on. And Brandon, thank you for coming on. You got anything else, buddy?
Always. Oh, and stay kind, stay friendly, and love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor. All right, cool. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.
Good night.